¿Qué pasó, güey? It's your homeboy Quetzalcoatl hitting you ass up with another video. On today's episode, I'm going to be giving you my prediction for this weekend's fight between Orlando Salido and Francisco Vargas. I'll break down both fighters' attributes, discuss some of the recent fights, and then I'll be letting your stupid ass know who I see winning this fight. So let's start with Orlando City Salido. Orlando Salido is 35 years old. He stands at 5 feet 6 inches, and he has a 67-inch reach. He holds a record of 43 victories with 13 losses and 3 draws. 30 of those victories come by way of knockout, and in 5 of those losses, they beat his ass and stopped him. And there isn't anything complicated about Orlando Salido's style. He's a straight-up brawler. He basically comes in to try to whoop your motherfucking ass. And over time, he's learned to effectively cut off the ring. For being a brawler and having a very high work rate, he's actually fairly accurate with his punches. And he distributes his punches well to both the head and the body. He's got a decent pop in his punch. He's not a knockout artist, but I think between him and Francisco Vargas, I think that Salido has the advantage in power. And he's got a solid chin. I did state that he's been stopped 5 times before in his career, but those 5 knockout losses actually came in the first 14 fights of his career. Since then, he showed that he has a very solid chin. He's been dropped several times, but he gets back up and he recuperates well. But I believe that Orlando Salido's biggest strength lies in his experience, because he's been in the ring with several fighters who are either well-known or stars in the sport. Fighters like Juan Manuel Marquez. He's fought against Robert Guerrero, Yuriorkis Gamboa, Vasily Lomachenko. He had 2 wars with Juanma Lopez. Both of those fights were Fight of the Year candidates. And he beat Lopez's ass. Juanma Lopez wasn't the same fighter after those fights. As a matter of fact, I think that's a big reason why he doesn't box anymore. From what I hear now, I think Lopez is out there in Puerto Rico in the fields cutting sugarcane and shit to feed his family. Orlando Salido even got in the ring against the boxer who became the first openly gay fighter in the sport in Orlando, Rainbow Cruz. And he beat the shit out of Cruz. So much so that I believe that the LGBT is still seeking to have hate crime charges filed against Orlando Salido for that beatdown. In his last fight versus Roman Martinez, I feel like Salido was robbed of a victory in a fight that ended in a draw. Salido clearly outworked him. He outlanded Martinez. And that should have been a fight where he avenged the loss that he had against Martinez, but unfortunately, he was robbed of that victory. And now let's talk about Francisco Vargas. Francisco Vargas is 31 years old. He is listed at 5 feet 8 inches. He has a 70-inch reach. And he holds a record of 23 victories with no losses and 1 draw. And 17 of those victories coming by way of knockout. Now, between Francisco Vargas and Orlando Salido, I believe that Francisco Vargas is the more technically sound fighter. However, I don't think that attribute will be playing a key role in this fight, because it's going to be a war. You know, this isn't going to be any type of Dancing with the Stars or prom night type fight. They're going to be thrown down. So the only time that you're going to see him really try to effectively use his technical abilities is if he gets rocked by Orlando Salido and he needs to use his footwork or defensive ability to buy himself some time and recover. Between him and Salido, I also believe that Vargas has the faster hands, so he will be having a speed advantage in this fight. He has a decent chin, and he's got a lot of heart. You saw that heart on display in his last fight versus Takashi Miura, which was a Fight of the Year, where in the beginning of the fight, Francisco Vargas was getting his ass whooped. Both of his eyes were cut. His eyes were badly swollen. It looked like he was going to get done closed casket. But he ended up pulling off a miracle. And he came back and he stopped Mute on that fight. And it's crazy to see that type of heart from Francisco Vargas because he doesn't look like a boxer. He doesn't have the look of a fighter. You know, when he's got his little cowboy hat on, he looks like one of my cousins or uncles from Mexico. Like a straight farmer. Like he's going to go slang some cows or some shit. And for that matter, Orlando Salido doesn't look like a fighter either. You know, he looks like a butcher at a meat market. Like I might see his ass at Food for Less hooking up some steaks. And for Francisco Vargas, Takashi Miura is the biggest name that he has on his resume. Although I believe that Orlando Salido is going to give him the toughest fight of his career. And my prediction for this fight is I have Orlando Salido becoming the new WBC champion. This was a tough fight to pick. I think that it's a 50-50 fight. But in the end, I believe that the difference is going to be Orlando Salido's experience. I feel like this will be somewhat similar to the fight against Vasyl Lomachenko. You know, Vasyl Lomachenko was a more technically sound and a more physically gifted fighter than Orlando Salido. But in terms of experience, he was very green in that fight. And Orlando Salido used his experience to out-hustle and school Vasyl Lomachenko to a victory. I think that this will be somewhat similar. He's going to use his experience to win this fight. It's going to be a back-and-forth battle. Hell of an exciting fight to watch. But in the end, I got Salido taking this. Who do you have winning this fight? You agree with my pick? Or do you have Vargas? If Vargas wins, hey, man, I'll give him his props. Because like I said, it's a 50-50 fight, man. But I got to roll with Salido. Let me know your opinion in the comment section. And as always, if you like this shit, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. This is your homeboy Quetzalcoatl. Signing the fuck on out.